Chapter 618. Ningxi stared fixedly at the man in front of her. Her fingers gently stroked his slightly furrowed brows, his high nose bridge, his cold eyes, and his thin lips. She seemed to want to engrave such a face in her heart. Okay? Accompany me, okay? Even if it was just for a minute and a second. Even though he knew that she was not sober at the moment, Lu Tingxiao still couldn't resist such a request. Okay. Ningxi finally revealed a satisfied expression and closed her eyes in peace. However, after a few seconds of peace, she popped her head out again, her eyes bright. I still can't sleep, can you kiss me? Sleep. Lu Tingxiao's face darkened as he pulled the blanket up a little. Oh. Ningxi's face was instantly filled with disappointment. Lu Tingxiao's heart instantly softened when he saw that pitiful look. Anyway, she was drunk and didn't know anything. She didn't know what she was doing. As Lu Tingxiao thought about it, he turned his face slightly and kissed her disappointed eyes. Then he prepared to leave. However, just as he was about to leave, the girl suddenly hooked her arms around his neck and kissed him on the lips. This wasn't the first time he kissed her. In order to have a moment of intimacy with her, he had racked his brains. But this time, it was the first time she took the initiative to kiss him. Lu Tingxiao felt the softness and sweetness on his lips. The feeling in his heart was indescribable. His emotions made him sink into it. His rationality was asking him, who was she kissing now, and who did she think he was? His hands that were hanging by the girl's sides clenched into fists. His rationality was getting closer and closer to the edge of collapse. Finally, he hugged her body back, and was about to take back the initiative when the girl suddenly fell headfirst onto his chest. Lu Tingxiao's expression tensed up and hurriedly held her. The next second, he saw an incomparably sweet sleeping face, Lu Tingxiao. This girl, after being drunk for a while, she set him on fire from head to toe, but in the end she fell asleep. Ningxi was really exhausted these days. She had been on the plane for such a long time, and even on the plane, she had been busy with the studio's matters. As a result, she actually fell asleep in the middle of such an exciting moment, like pouncing on the Demon King. This was really a situation that even she didn't expect. In a daze, she felt as if a feather had landed on her forehead. Then, the cool feather landed on her lips. At first it was a little painful, but soon it became extremely gentle. Ningxi slept very soundly. When she opened her eyes, it was already dark outside the window. Ningxi sat up with a start and fumbled to turn on the lamp on the bedside table. She looked at the alarm clock next to it. She had slept for 2 hours. Damn it, what the hell did Lu Jingli give her to drink? Just one sip, and it went to her head. Why did I sleep for so long? She had only planned to stay for 10 minutes. She still had a lot of things to do. She didn't know if the studio had called her. Ningxi hurriedly picked up her phone and looked at it. The phone was turned off. Damn. Who the hell turned off my phone? Her phone had just been fully charged, so it couldn't have been turned off automatically. I turned it off. Do you have a problem with that? At this time, a cold voice suddenly came from the opposite sofa. Ningxi was so cold that she shivered. She raised her head stiffly and looked in the direction of the man. No, you can turn it off however you want. Are you awake now? Lu Tingxiao closed the document in his hand and looked at her. Ningxi, yes. It seemed like he was going to settle the score later. Lu Tingxiao. Then let's talk about your work. Ningxi. Sure enough. Ningxi had already remembered that she had fallen asleep in the middle of pouncing on him. Damn it, was it too late to continue bribing him now? Chapter 619. Take a look. Lu Tingxiao handed her a document. What's this? Ningxi took it suspiciously. A work rules? The first rule. No more than 6 hours a day? Isn't that too little? And the legal working hours are 8 hours. While she was muttering, Lu Tingxiao glared at her. Ningxi immediately stopped talking. Fine, 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 you are the law. The second rule, no excessive alcohol. The third rule, 3 meals a day. The fourth rule. Finally, Ningxi read the last rule. The 10th rule, no bribing the boss? Memorize it. Okay. Under the supervision of Lu Tingxiao, Ningxi memorized all 10 rules without missing a word before she was finally allowed to go. And she was kicked out, as if he was afraid that she would go crazy again. Was she that scary? Actually, she wasn't pretending. Lu Jingli's wine had a strong after-effect. Didn't the devil care about her pouncing on Shi Shiqing? She had only planned to pounce on the devil to make him feel better, but things seemed to have gotten out of her control. She had gone too far. It would have been good if she had taken the opportunity to pounce on him, but it turned out to be another unexpected turn of events. Fortunately, Ningxi felt much better after pouncing on the devil. As if she had taken some miraculous medicine. She was suddenly rejuvenated from exhaustion and tension. She even walked briskly. Rather than saying that she had pacified Lu Tingxiao, it was more accurate to say that Lu Tingxiao had comforted her. She had been putting too much pressure on herself recently. In fact, the situation wasn't as serious as she thought. If the other party wanted to hurt her, there were countless opportunities this year. He could have even gotten rid of her when Tang Yi came last time. From the fact that she hadn't been there for a year, she knew that she was just an insignificant person. It would be good to take advantage of this meeting to clarify some things. Whenever she faced the people and things in the past, she would think of her ridiculous self. What she couldn't face was not Tang Yi, not that person, but her past. On the way to the studio, Ningxi was about to call Gong Shangza when she received a call. Lu Jingli sounded very excited. Brother Shi, brother Shi, brother Shi. Are you a recorder? My brother has finally returned to normal. Did you sacrifice yourself to my brother? Lu Jingli could only think of this possibility, and the more he thought about it, the more likely it was. Ningxi's face darkened. Offer my ass. Do you think your brother is that fast? Lu Jingli was speechless. When Ningxi said it was 10 minutes, of course, he didn't think that way. But in the end, Ningxi stayed in there for 2 hours. 2 hours wasn't short, right? However, for her brother who had been holding back for so long, this timing did not seem logical. Also, what kind of lousy wine did you give me? How can it be lousy wine? That wine costs tens of thousands per bottle. It's said to be able to topple you in one bite. Lu Jingli exclaimed. Fuck. What are you trying to do by giving me one bottle at a time? I'm being wronged. I thought you were going to bribe my brother to please him. Of course, I found something good for you. Who knew you'd be so wasteful? You poured it all on yourself after just one sip. Oh. That's right, I did go to bribe your brother, but not with wine, you idiot. Chapter 620. After talking with Lu Jingli on the phone and Xiao Bao for a while, he received a call from the studio. Hello, Momo. Sister Shi, bad news. Director Gong is in trouble. Come and have a look. On the other end of the phone, the assistant sounded anxious. Gong Shangza is in trouble? What happened to him? Director Gong suddenly fainted. Ningxi's face changed. Why would he faint all of a sudden? Don't worry, I'm on my way. Damn it. He must have fainted from exhaustion. Zailing Studio. As soon as Ningxi pushed the door open, she saw Gong Shangza lying in the middle of a pile of white paper balls with a pale face. His assistant, Han Momo, was crying beside him with red eyes. Sister Shi, you're finally here. Han Momo saw her and sobbed. I called an ambulance, but the hospital said they were too busy and couldn't get a car. I can't move him by myself. Ningxi threw her bag and cell phone to her assistant, and bent down to pick up Gong Shangza, who had fainted on the ground, and put him on the bed in the bedroom. Han Momo looked at Gong Shangza, who was being carried in a princess's arms, and her mouth formed an O shape. Sister Shi, your boyfriend's strength is amazing. It's your director who is too light. Didn't I tell you to take good care of him? Why has he lost weight again? Ningxi frowned. The assistant looked aggrieved. Sister Shi, I can't persuade him. You don't know, Director Gong usually looks gentle, but once he starts working, his state completely changes. It's scary. He's like a golden retriever turning into a Tibetan mastiff. Even if I make a little sound, he'll roar at me fiercely. I don't even dare to walk loudly, let alone urge him to eat and rest. Sister Shi, you should talk to Director Gong. He only listens to you. Golden retriever turning into a Tibetan mastiff. Ningxi was speechless at the assistant's description. Okay, I'll talk to him later. She touched Gong Shangza's forehead, and it was indeed hot. He has a slight fever. Momo, go to the pharmacy downstairs and buy some medicine for him. Okay, I'll go right now. The assistant hurried off to buy medicine. Ningxi and the assistant took care of him for most of the night, and Gong Shangzi finally woke up. Boss, don't move. Ningxi pressed him back and said coldly, what did I tell you in the beginning? Health is the capital of revolution. If you lose your life, what's the use of other things? Those who don't know me might think that I'm a black-hearted boss who squeezes my employees. Now she finally understood how Lu Tingxiao felt. It was so hard to be a boss. No, I volunteered. Gong Shangzi said anxiously. I can't do it even if I'm willing. I'm the boss, you have to listen to me. Otherwise, you can find a better job elsewhere. Ningxi emphasized. Hearing that, Gong Shangzi's expression immediately changed and he said in panic, Boss, I won't do it again. Looking at the young man's haggard face, Ningxi sighed. Can you still go to the competition tomorrow? Anyway, we have discussed the process many times. I will go with Momo. You have a good rest at home. Boss, I have to go. It's already the last moment. I'm fine. I don't need to do much. I just need to make sure the models don't make any mistakes. Chapter 621. After speaking, Gong Shangzi's expression darkened. Although I've already tried my best, I'm afraid the chances of us winning the award this time aren't high. The award this time is so important. Dai Wei will definitely choose the work I'm most proud of. Ningxi's expression darkened. To Gong Shangzi, this battle was indeed going to be difficult, because his opponent was not anyone else but himself. It's okay, just try your best. Even if you can't do it this time, there's always next time. One day, you will defeat your past self. You have unlimited possibilities, while the other party only has a pile of designs that can be used up at any time. There's nothing to be afraid of. Gong Shangzi looked at the girl's bright eyes. His weak body seemed to be infused with strength as he nodded. All right, rest well. There's a tough battle to fight tomorrow. The next day, at the Golden Summit Awards venue, as the most prestigious fashion award in China, the venue was decorated extravagantly and had a magical feel to it. The seats were suspended about a meter off the ground. The lights were cut into colorful pieces that flickered on the stage that had been transformed into a Noah's Arkansas. It was hard to get a seat at the venue. Everyone present was a celebrity in the fashion industry. Ningxi's status in the entertainment industry was clearly not enough for her to be here. She had only been invited because she was the boss of the selected work studio. Ningxi had just taken a few steps into the venue with Gong Shangzi and her assistant when she realized that the road ahead was blocked. The competition hadn't started yet, but the reporters were already surrounding the hot winner of this year's award, Dai Wei. Dai Wei, are you confident in this competition? Everyone says that you're the winner of the Golden Summit Award. I heard that even the winner of the previous Golden Summit Award, Teacher Li Ming, predicted that you would win. Is that true? Many seniors from the entertainment industry are here this time. Many of them are your fans and even wore your works to cheer for you. Do you have anything to say about this? Dai Wei was in high spirits, and there was no longer any trace of his past self on him. Facing the reporters, he replied calmly, Every design is the result of my hard work. Of course, I have confidence in them. However, in a competition, we still have to look at the judge's judgment. As for Teacher Li Ming, he's also a senior that I respect very much. I'm very grateful for his appreciation and all the beauty's love. Hearing this, Ningxi and Gong Shangzi didn't react, but the little assistant beside them couldn't hold it in anymore and exploded in anger. Damn. This person is too shameless. What painstaking work. Whose painstaking work is it? When she was first recruited, Han Momo didn't know who Gong Shangzi was at first, but after seeing his works, the more she looked at him, the more familiar he became. Because designers hated plagiarism the most, she couldn't help but mutter that Gong Shangzi had copied Dai Wei's design style, and that it wasn't good. In any case, she looked down on Gong Shangzi. At the time, Gong Shangzi did not refute a single word. He continued to draw every day until the sky was dark. After interacting with him for a long time, she gradually felt that something was wrong. Gong Shangzi was practically using his life to make a design. How was this the state of an opportunistic thief? Later, She pestered Sister Shi for a long time before she found out the terrifying inside story. Chapter 622. After being stuck at the entrance for more than 10 minutes, the reporters finally dispersed to interview the other contestants. Gong Shang's face was completely unfamiliar. He was wearing a mask because he was sick, so naturally no one paid attention to him. However, they were happy to have the peace and immediately rushed backstage to make preparations. When Gong Shangza passed by, Dai Wei seemed to look at his back suspiciously. However, he quickly retracted his gaze and continued to chat with the designers who were trying to curry favor with him. Backstage. Inside were all models preparing, some only wearing underwear. There were many male designers and assistants present, but they were obviously used to it and did not treat them as men. Gong Shangza probably had never seen such a scene before, and his eyes were a little embarrassed. However, when he began to check the clothes on the models, his eyes immediately became focused. Wow, so many famous models. Their bodies are so good. As a woman, I'm already drooling. Han Momo swallowed her saliva. At this moment, a model in high heels strode in their direction. Make way. Don't block the way. The model in front of Gong Shangza, who was changing clothes, was pushed by her. She was about to step on the hem of her skirt. Fortunately, Ningxi was quick to hold the model's waist and stabilize her. Otherwise, not only would she fall, but her clothes would also be in danger. Hey, what's wrong with you? Our clothes were almost ruined by you. Han Momo panicked and stopped the rampaging model. The person glanced at the model's clothes and saw that the style was very similar to Dai Wei's. His face was full of disdain. It's just a tattered copy. You want to extort money? Believe it or not, I'll get the higher-ups to disqualify you. Move aside. Han Momo wanted to refute, but she recognized the person was the world-famous model Angie. She was very famous in the circle and had a close relationship with the organizers. There was no benefit in offending her on such an occasion, so she could only suppress her anger. Angie, darling, come over here and change. Someone called out from not far away. Angie immediately smiled and walked over. Wow, Director Dai, this is beautiful. Isn't it beautiful? I told you that you would definitely like it. Dai Wei's face was full of pride. It's so beautiful. As expected of Director Dai, you always surprise me. No wonder even Teacher Li said that the Golden Summit Award this time is yours for sure. After Angie finished speaking, she swept a glance in the direction of Gong Shangza and the others. However, this Golden Summit Award is really getting worse and worse. How can anyone be chosen? The one who tried to blackmail me was obviously imitating your style. What a joke. Dai Wei smiled generously as if he had been through the same thing. Hee, this is how it is. You'll get used to it. Angie fiddled with the clothes in her hands, liking it more the more she looked at it. Teacher Dai is still the best. Every piece is so different from the masses. You're practically born to be a designer. As expected of Li Lauscher's evaluation of you, you have always been imitated but never surpassed. The moment he saw the clothes in Dai Wei's hands, Gong Shang's face instantly turned pale. What's wrong, Director Gong? Seeing that Gong Shang's expression wasn't right, Han Momo immediately asked uneasily. Ningxi frowned. Dai Wei is really ruthless. He actually chose this method. Gong Shangza had mentioned this dress to her before. She could still remember the proud expression on his face when he mentioned this design. Chapter 623. Gong Shang's dry voice trembled slightly. That was my most satisfying and perfect work when I was at the peak of my inspiration. The theme is life, and there are 6 sets of the same series. Dai Wei is just enough for this competition. Ningxi wanted to comfort him, but Gong Shangza took a deep breath and calmed down. Instead, he comforted Ningxi. Boss, the competition is about to start. Go to the front first, I'll be there soon. Ningxi saw that he was in a stable state, so she patted his shoulder. Okay, call me if you need anything. Momo, look after him. If he's not feeling well, inform me immediately. Got it, Sister Shi. Even if the director bites me, I'll tell on him. Be good, go ahead. Sister Shi will back you up. Gong Shangza looked helpless as he listened to their conversation, and a trace of warmth welled up in his ice-cold blood. He carefully took out the clothes for the competition, and his eyes shone with an unknown light. The competition was about to start, and the venue was bustling. After the reporters finished interviewing the contestants, they scrambled to interview the celebrities in the entertainment circle who were present. Recently, The World was about to be released, and all kinds of promotions were going on. As the female lead, Ning Xuelua naturally had a lot of exposure and topics. Plus, Dai Wei was a hot favorite to win an award, and Ning Xuelua was the boss of history, so almost half of the reporters surrounded her. Miss Ning, how did you discover David? Can you share your story with us? The reporters asked the questions that everyone was most interested in. Ning Xuelua seemed to have thought of something, and a gentle expression appeared on her face. She said softly, I'm not the one who discovered David. It was my boyfriend who first discovered him. I felt that he was a good choice, and after discussing it with him, we decided to invest. There's actually such a wonderful story. The two of you really have telepathy. Even your taste is good. The World has received so much attention even before it's released. The box office will definitely be huge. And I heard that The World will be competing for several important awards. Xuelua, this year is really a bumper harvest. A reporter who knew her well complimented her. Ha ha ha, yeah, I've even written the headlines about Xuelua winning the Best Actress award. It was not until the host announced the start of the competition that the reporters finally dispersed and returned to their seats. Ning Xi's seat was relatively remote, in a corner at the back. When the host was speaking the opening speech, she closed her door to rest. Suddenly she heard an unpleasant voice. Hey, isn't this the superstar Ning Xining? You're here to watch the match? Don't you know you need an admission ticket to enter today? Be careful not to get chased away if you barge in. The one who spoke was Li Leilang, who was holding Ning Xuelua's arm. A gleam of displeasure flashed across Ning Xi's lazy eyes. She glanced at Li Leilang unhurriedly and said with a surprised expression, Miss Li, have you become a security guard? Li Leilang was stunned for a moment, and then she was furious. You're the security guard. Ning Xi suddenly understood and nodded. Oh sorry, I was just being nosy. I misunderstood. You. Li Leilang was furious. Ning Xuelua tried to smooth things over and kindly reminded them. Ning Xi, Liling just said that out of kindness. All the seats here are reserved. You can't sit randomly. Chapter 624. Ning Xi closed her eyes. She could not be bothered to waste even a second on these people. Li Leilang pulled Ning Xuelua away and walked toward their seats. Don't bother about her. We won't be the ones who will be embarrassed. How dare she come to a place like this? Does she know anything about fashion? Ning Xuelua hesitated. Maybe she was invited? Li Leilang said confidently. How is that possible? It's so hard to get a seat today. Even my mom had to ask a lot of people to get it. She almost couldn't come with you. She seems to be quite close to Lu Jingli. Ning Xuelua said deliberately. Li Leilang's face stiffened. I don't think so. Otherwise, with Lu Jingli's ability, he could have gotten a seat in the front row. Why would he sit in a corner like that? She's so disgusting. Everywhere she goes, she can't be missing. She then snorted and said excitedly, Forget it. Let's not talk about her. Oh yeah, Xuelua, let's go to the Royal Duke Hotel after the award ceremony. I've already booked a private room for you to celebrate. Ning Xuelua glared at her. We don't even know if we'll get the award. Why wouldn't I know? I've already asked around. Among the contestants, you're the strongest. The award belongs to you. She then whispered into Ning Xuelua's ear. I asked my mom to help me ask around. Dai Wei will be the winner of the Golden Summit Award. Don't worry. Ning Xuelua's eyes lit up, but she still said humbly, Let's wait for the results first. As they spoke, Dai Wei also sat down. When Li Leilang saw him, she immediately teased. Oh, our great scholar is here. There must be more people trying to headhunt you now that you've won the award, right? Beauty, look at what you're saying. Boss is like my second parent. I'd never leave him, even if I were to fly into the sky. Dai Wei had always been an opportunistic person. His flattery skills were top-notch. Both of them were overjoyed. On the other side, Gong Shangze and his assistant sat down next to Ningxi. Is everything done? Yeah. Gong Shangze nodded. He had done everything he could. All he could do now was wait for the results. Soon, the host finished his opening speech and the competition officially began. On the catwalk, the first contestant's work was dazzling. The first designer was quite capable. The introduction on the big screen was a long paragraph. Lu Sheng, winner of the 17th Chinese Fashion Design Golden Apex Award. The current art director of Lu Sheng Fashion Company, limited director of the Chinese Fashion Designers Association, member of the Fashion Arts Committee, awarded the title of Outstanding Fashion Designer, Top 10 Fashion Designers. The theme of Lu Sheng's design was the zodiac. He used the 12 zodiac elemental totems of the Chinese zodiac, which was eye-catching. However, after a brief moment of amazement, everyone's first impression was that they had seen it before. TSK, even Lu Sheng has run out of ideas. This is clearly Dai Wei's style. Ever since Dai Wei's Hua Nation style became popular, everyone has started to use Hua Nation elements. It's almost everywhere. The key is that those people's designs are very deliberate. If you take a closer look, you'll notice that they're neither fish nor fowl. They don't have Dai Wei's natural fluidity. Han Momo listened to the discussion around her and broke into a cold sweat. She had been scolded like this just by being imitated. When Director Gong's work came out, what kind of scolding would she receive? Chapter 625. The three of them watched the other works patiently. Finally, it was their turn. However, the next one was not their model, but another contestant. What's going on? Ningxi's expression changed. Han Momo said hurriedly, I'll ask backstage. Soon Han Momo came back, her eyes red and panting. The organizer said we were moved to the last place. I asked them why, but they had the nerve to say that it was better to go last. But the second last one is Dai Wei's work. Our design style is similar to theirs, and now they've arranged us to go behind him. We'll definitely be criticized to death, not to mention winning an award. Needless to say, this was probably done by the famous model Angie. That woman was famous for being rude and unreasonable in the circle. She would mess with you if you didn't agree with her. In the end, it was Gong Shangze who comforted them. It doesn't matter. If my work is really going to be considered plagiarism, then the order is the same. This competition was scored on the spot. The 6 judges took the average score. So far, 5 of the works had been given more than 9 points. The competition was fierce. Lu Sheng's score was only 7 points, no matter how hard he tried. It was obvious that the judges did not like people who followed the trend. At this moment, there was a sudden burst of intense exclamations and snapping sounds of photos being taken. It was Dai Wei's turn to go on stage. Not only the others, but Ningxi, Han Momo and Gong Shangze were also completely attracted by the model on the stage. The most eye-catching was Angie's main work. The long dress covered in flowers was like spring, giving people a sense of vitality. The primitive Chang embroidery technique combined with modern three-dimensional tailoring techniques could be said to be a fusion of ancient and modern, Chinese and Western. A perfect combination of traditional culture and modern clothing. It also fully matched the theme of life. The model was the international famous model Angie, and the materials were every inch of brocade is worth gold, and wholly of weaving silk. The jewelry sponsor was a luxury brand under Ning's international group. Dai Wei's set of works could only be described with one word: perfect. Almost every piece was so gorgeous that people had the urge to buy it on the spot. At this moment, the female celebrities and socialites were even eager to try and find connections everywhere to get their hands on this series of high-end sets. Although this was Gong Shangze's work, Ningxi knew that the more it was praised, the more upset Gong Shangze would be. Just as she was about to comfort him, she saw a huge burn on his hand from the corner of her eye. Her expression changed immediately. What happened to your hand? Gong Shangze immediately shrank back. It's fine, I was careless. Why did you accidentally burn your hand like this when you were checking clothes all of a sudden? Momo, what happened? Ningxi turned to Han Momo and asked. Han Momo looked confused. Well, I don't know. Director Gong just said that there's only one last thing left to wrap up, So she asked me to come and find you first. I don't know what happened after that. Boss, I'm really fine. As the three of them spoke, Dai Wei's score came out. Seeing the score, Han Momo's face was full of despair. 999. Holy shit. Director Gong, should I praise you? Do you have to be so awesome? It's been so many years, and there's never been such a high score, okay? The highest score is 9.6. You're amazing. Chapter 626. Ningxi did not know whether to laugh or cry. It seemed like being too good was also a problem. Not only did Gongshang's work have a good theme, but it also involved cultural heritage. It was tailor-made for this kind of award. Plus, the team was strong, and all the resources were the best. No wonder the judges liked it so much. The applause became more and more intense. Most of the people stood up to congratulate Dai Wei and Ning Xueluo. The reporters pointed their cameras at him, ready to take pictures of him accepting the award on stage. Dai Wei stood up proudly and thanked everyone one by one. He said in a humble and proper manner, "Everyone, you think too highly of me. This is the credit of our entire team, especially my boss, Ms. Ning Xueluo. Especially my boss, Miss Ning Xueluo. Without her, there would be no Dai Wei today." Ning Xueluo smiled. "Don't be humble. You're the soul and core of our studio." Now that Dai Wei had won such a big award, Ning Xueluo's attitude towards him became better in order to make him stay. Just as Dai Wei adjusted his clothes and was about to walk out to receive his prize, the host suddenly said, "Everyone, please calm down. We still have one last contestant." "What? One more? What's going on? Why don't we just give him the award? Isn't that a waste of time?" "There's nothing we can do. That's how the competition is. There's no need to rush. Let's wait for the process to finish. Since the result has been decided, we can use this time to prepare for the interview later." Dai Wei stopped in his tracks when he heard the host's words. He looked a little embarrassed. Then, he suddenly remembered that Angie had secretly told him that the plagiarist would be the last contestant to go on stage. He immediately came back to his senses and returned to his seat with a good-natured expression. When the contestant went on stage, not only would it make him look better, but it would also be an opportunity to make an example of those crazy followers. It was killing two birds with one stone. Ning Xueluo was not anxious at all. After all, it was already in the bag. Among the contestants today, a few of the most competitive opponents had already gone on stage. The remaining one was nothing more than a bystander, the icing on the cake. Therefore, all the female celebrities and socialites were trying to get close to Ning Xueluo. The designers were surrounding Dai Wei, and the reporters' cameras were all on Dai Wei. The judges had already started packing up, and were ready to leave. As a result, when the last contestant's work appeared on stage, almost no one paid attention to it. Gongshang's current condition was not very good. It seemed like his fever was getting worse, and his breathing was getting more and more rapid. The burn on his hand had not been treated, and he had probably been holding it in just now. Ningxi supported him. "Hold on a little longer. We'll be home soon." She originally wanted Momo to take him back directly, but she also knew in her heart that he must want to see the final result. She had seen Gongshang's entry before. It was very good. If there was no life, he would definitely be in first place. However, with life ahead of him, not only would he not get a prize, he might even end up in the worst possible situation. With a bang, the bright and beautiful lights in the arena, which were previously in line with the theme of life, dimmed all of a sudden. The music also changed to a low and deep style, which was slightly depressing and made people feel very uncomfortable listening to it. Chapter 627. After a short prelude, the music suddenly became louder, and the lights began to dim. Then the first model appeared. She was dressed in a classic red dress that was dazzling and gorgeous. It was as if she was not wearing a dress, but a sunset glow on the horizon. Gongshang's specialty, embroidery and auspicious clouds, were still used in the details. Although it was already very eye-catching, compared to Dai Wei's extreme extravagance, it was not so stunning. It might even make people tired of looking at it. However, it was a dress like this that everyone in the audience had only taken a casual glance and snorted. But when the dress was revealed from the dark to the light, everyone could no longer take their eyes off it. Even Ningxi was stunned. How could this be? Gong Shang's 6 sets of works for the competition were still the same as his previous design. They were respectively based on the 6 natural elements of sunset, aurora, cherry blossom, waves, snow forest, and starry sky, supplemented by traditional Chinese techniques. But what was special was that each dress had been burned to a different extent. That kind of burning mark, not only did it not feel incomplete, but it unexpectedly displayed an extremely special kind of decadent magnificence. In an instant it attracted everyone's attention. After a long while, someone finally came back to their senses. Then those stunned photographers almost completely relied on their sharp instincts and immediately pointed the camera at the stage. Is there something wrong with my taste? Why do I think that the bright red dress is so beautiful when it's burned? It gives off a lonely but still noble feeling like a princess. That sea blue fishtail dress is so beautiful. The tail is burned off, but it's so poignant. It reminds me of a mermaid princess. So special. How did he think of it? More and more people looked towards the stage. Everyone's eyes were filled with amazement. After a while, the theme of this set of works slowly appeared on the big screen: Nirvana. Amazing. This is really amazing. One of the judges stood up in excitement. It's indeed a great idea. It seems like I haven't seen such a clever work in a long time. Hehe, this newcomer is very brave. But I like it. Because of this, everyone's attention was focused on the exquisite creativity of this theme. Instead, no one paid attention to the Chinese elements. Ningxi had an indescribable shock in her heart. No wonder Gong Shang's hand was burned. How much determination did he have to personally burn his own painstaking efforts for half a month? This kind of desperate struggle was indeed worthy of the new theme he had defined for this work: Nirvana Rebirth. The host used to be a designer as well. He stared at the last set of works for a long time before coming back to his senses. Remembering his job, he coughed lightly and said, "Next, please look at the judges' scores." Swish, swish, swish. The judges raised their scoreboards one by one. First judge, 10 points. Second judge, 10 points. Third judge, 10 points. 10 points in a row. 10 points in a row. Until the last judge, the #1 designer in China, Chu Guanyang, who was known for being picky. He was the one who gave Dai Wei's work the lowest score. He had been a judge for 8 years, and was famous for his strictness. He had never given a full score before. At this moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on Chu Guanyang's hand. After a moment, Shihi and Shishi and to say Shihi. Chapter 628. 10 points. Our last contestant's final score is a full 10 points. Oh my god. It's really a full 10 points. This is really amazing. Even our sharp-tongued judge, Teacher Chu, gave a full score. I didn't expect such a strong dark horse to jump out at the end of the competition. The host was so excited that he seemed to be about to faint. In her seat, Han Momo screamed and hugged Gong Shangza, shaking him. 10 points. 10 points. Fuck. That's unbelievable. Director Gong, you're too amazing. I'll be your diehard fan from now on. Ningxi patted Gong Shang's shoulder with a look of amazement. That's amazing, my baby Zay. After an intense competition, our golden top prize winner has finally been decided. Now let's welcome our last contestant, Mr. X, to the stage to receive the prize. That's right, this contestant signed up anonymously. I'm really curious who this mysterious golden top prize winner is. The host was good at controlling the situation. He quickly recovered from the sudden situation and began to create a gimmick. When the dust settled, everyone who was in a daze came back to their senses. Fuck. What's going on? Who's X? Where did he come from? Who knows? The big screen says something like Zailing Studios design director. There's nothing else, not even his real name. What's Zailing Studio? Who's the boss? I've never heard of it. The competition allowed participants to participate anonymously, so there were many people who used code names. When Gong Shangza told Ningxi that he wanted to sign anonymously, Ningxi didn't ask much and let him decide for himself. She thought that he probably wanted to announce his real identity after he became famous. That was understandable. X. Han Momo rolled her eyes and then suddenly realized something. She slapped her head excitedly. Wow. X. Sister Shi. Is that the abbreviation of your name, Shi? Ah. The abbreviation of my name? Ningxi didn't think about it at all. Yeah. Gong Shangzi nodded, looking a little shy. Aya, my little Tibetan mastiff is so heartwarming. Ningxi was actually quite touched. Dai Wei stood up the moment he saw the score. His expression was extremely ugly, and the veins on his forehead were bulging. At this moment, he was staring fixedly at the 6 sets of clothes, staring at every tiny detail on the 6 sets of clothes, a trace of imperceptible fear hidden in his eyes. The design of those clothes, especially the way the details were handled and the habits. Why did it feel so familiar? Could it be no? Impossible. Other than burying his head in designing, Gong Shangzi did not have the slightest ability to survive. When he left, he did not even leave a single cent behind. By now, he should have been chased out by his landlord to beg on the streets. How could he have returned to the country, and even participated in the Golden Summit Awards? Moreover, that guy was from a professional school, and his style was more orthodox and stable. He would definitely not do such unconventional things. How could this be? Dai Wei actually lost. Li Leilang turned pale with fright. Dai Wei gritted his teeth and said, "It's just a show to please the public." Ning Xuelua did not care if it was a trap or not. She only knew that the cooked duck had flown away. Her face was completely trampled under Dai Wei's feet. She looked at Dai Wei coldly. "Didn't you say that it was foolproof? How could you lose to an unknown newbie?" Chapter 629. Dai Wei gritted his teeth and suppressed his panic. "Ms. Ning, don't worry. I'll handle it." After saying that, he winked at a few people in the crowd. A few of the smaller designers who were affiliated with Dai Wei Resources understood what he meant and immediately protested. "I object. It's just a plagiarized design. How can we win an award just by burning it? Isn't this award a little too easy to get?" "That's right. Any one of us could have burned it. Wouldn't all of us win an award then? He's just trying to impress the crowd." After someone spoke up, the other designers could no longer sit still. People in the same trade tended to underestimate each other. If they had lost to Dai Wei and the others, they could accept it wholeheartedly, but this newcomer who had appeared out of nowhere was simply unacceptable. In their excitement, they even began to doubt the fairness of the competition. What's wrong with the judges? Could they have been bribed? I'm so disappointed. I didn't expect Chu Guanyang to be so shameless this time. We request for a rematch. The host was embarrassed by the crowd's agitation. He tried to smooth things over. Dai Wei, Ning Xuelua, and the rest were egging him on. The crowd was already in a mess. Even the judges were panicking. They could not help but look at Chu Guanyang in the middle. "Teacher Chu, what do you think we should do? Do you want to res core?" We were indeed stunned just now. However, after looking at it, it doesn't seem appropriate to give 10 points. That's right. Dai Wei is very influential in the industry. If we don't handle this well, it might affect the reputation of our award. Chu Guanyang snorted. Are the few of you regressing? Are we the judges or are they? If all of you are so knowledgeable, why do you still need us judges? And the rest of you, what are you doing sitting here? Changing your judgment with just a few words? Is this how you judge? The referees rubbed their noses and couldn't say a word after being criticized. Chu Guanyang picked up the microphone after he was done scolding the judges. Hee, it seems like someone is questioning my judgment. That's because no one is convinced by your score this time. This person obviously plagiarized. Even if he started a fire, he won't be able to hide it. Trying to cover something up only makes it worse. Someone in the crowd said angrily, causing a wave of agreement. Chu Guanyang's eyes turned cold. He scanned through the crowd and said expressionlessly, "First, you keep shouting about plagiarism, but what is the definition of plagiarism? Chinese style, traditional elements, anyone could do it. This was a public theme, not unique to anyone. Whether or not one person could make it work was up to one's own ability. Secondly, you guys can burn it too? Which one of you thought of burning it? Who would have thought of that? What were you doing earlier? Why didn't you burn them in the beginning? Chu Guanyang's question silenced all the designers who had been so confident. On this point, they were indeed a bit unreasonable. Everyone knew how to burn clothes, but it was difficult to think of this idea. That was why the people present at that time were so amazed. Even so, in terms of overall strength, that X can't compare to David at all. There were still people who were unwilling to give up. Chu Guanyang's tone was even harsher. He stared at the man coldly and said, as a designer, I think you have no idea what you are doing. What is our award this time? Chapter 630. Chu Guanyang was too strict. The crowd replied meekly, fashion design. Yes, it's the Fashion Design Award. The most important thing for this award is not the model, the material, or the craftsmanship. It's the design, the creativity. The Golden Top Award chooses the best designer, not the best model, the most expensive material, and the best popularity. If it's those, anyone can design. What's the point of you designers? Are you just decorations? Chu Guanyang was indeed a sharp-tongued man. He didn't hold back when it came to scolding people. He then turned his sharp gaze towards Dai Wei. The Golden Top Award has been held for the 23rd time. The competition schedule is open and transparent. It will not be interfered with by any individual or organization. This has been the case in the past, and will be the same in the future. Anyone who tries to manipulate the results will be firmly rejected. We welcome your supervision. He was obviously accusing Dai Wei of using his connections and power to manipulate the results of the competition. Anyone with a discerning eye would know that a new designer who hadn't even heard of the studio wouldn't be able to bribe the 6 judges. Dai Wei's actions seemed more like he was forcing the judges to change the results of the competition. All of a sudden, the audience and photojournalists realized what was going on. They looked at Dai Wei with a mocking expression. Chu Guanyang is right. Those troublemakers were just trying to pick a fight. Even us amateurs were amazed. How could they say that his design isn't good? Actually, I thought Dai Wei was being too overbearing. What's wrong with making a Chinese style? Even if it's because of him that it became popular recently, he's not the first to do it. Just like Teacher Chu said, anyone can do it. Now it's like he's the one who invented it. Anyone who does it is plagiarizing him. How could he not be anxious when the prize was snatched away just like that? There's so much more to come. Do you know how many resources and benefits this award can bring? That's true. The awards in the country are too fake. Only the Golden Top Award is more authoritative. After Chu Guanyang spoke, the other judges who were a little flustered by the commotion calmed down. The 5 of them explained in detail why they gave 10 points. In the end, they came to a unanimous conclusion. Therefore, we believe that this year's Golden Top Award belongs to Zailing Studios' Designer X. As soon as he finished speaking, the audience burst into applause. The female celebrities and socialites who were invited to watch the competition all looked excited. In the fashion industry, people liked the new and hated the old, and they changed quickly. Now that there was a new design that was so unique, it naturally captured their hearts. The people who were surrounding Ning Shueluo just now were now staring at the mysterious designer like wolves and tigers. The host cleared his throat and said, "Next, let's welcome Designer X to the stage to receive the award." Beside him, the beautiful MC was holding the trophy with a smile on her face. She was looking forward to it. Would it be a handsome guy? For a moment, everyone's gaze fell on the people below the stage, curious to see who the dark horse was. Dai Wei, in particular, could no longer suppress the darkness in his eyes. Who was it? Who could it be? With such a character in the industry, there was no way he wouldn't know. Chapter 631. While everyone was waiting anxiously, Ningxi's side was in trouble. Gong Shangzi had fainted. This guy had a fever, and his body was weak. He must have been holding on until the result came out, and he couldn't take it anymore. The host was already urging her. In the corner, Han Momo was anxious. "Sister Shi, what should we do?" Ningxi touched Gong Shang's burning forehead with a frown and helped him onto her shoulder. I'll take him to the hospital. You can go and receive the award on his behalf. Huh. Me? Han Momo was dumbfounded. In the end, under everyone's anxious gazes, Han Momo ran up the stage like a little rabbit. She was so nervous that she almost fell on the stage. The most tragic thing was Han Momo's outfit today. She was wearing a Lolita-style puffy skirt and looked like a doll. Damn. What the hell? The designer of Nirvana is a little girl? This doesn't make sense. Such a domineering style. Even if she's not a man, she must be a mature woman. Is she an adult? Are you the designer of Nirvana, X? The host was a little surprised. Chu Guanyang raised his eyebrows and touched his chin. Are you here to receive the award on behalf of someone else? After all, he had been in the industry for so many years and had some intuition. His intuition told him that the person in front of him was not the designer of Nirvana. Han Momo immediately nodded, then bowed politely to the crowd, and said, Fellow colleagues, guests, judges, I'm very sorry, X is unable to receive the award in person because of illness. I'm his assistant, and I'm here to receive the award on his behalf. So that was it. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, they were even more curious about X. The competition was finally over. Han Momo carefully held the trophy and sneaked away before the reporters surrounded her. Thus, Dai Wei and Ning Xuelu received the most attention. Miss Ning, do you have anything to say about your loss in the history competition? Was Chu Guanyang accusing you of bullying others and trying to manipulate the result of the competition? Director Dai, how do you feel about losing to a newcomer in the Chinese style that you're best at? Dai Wei's expression was extremely ugly. He didn't know whether to respond or not. Ning Xuelua's phone had been ringing nonstop since the results of the competition came out. In just a few minutes, they had bragged about several big deals and lost millions of yuan. That was not the scariest part. That Zailing studio, whose strength was unknown, was likely to become their biggest competitor. Dai Wei knew something was wrong when he saw Ning Xuelua's expression. Miss, it's just a domestic award. It's nothing. Nothing much. In just a few minutes, we've already lost more than 5 million. Most importantly, where would she put her face? Everyone said that she had a good eye, and that she had won the bet. But now, not only did she lose the prize, she was also being accused of maliciously manipulating the results of the competition. Dai Wei cursed in his heart. So what if it's 5 million? Look at how much I've earned for you. However, she was under the eaves, so she could only say carefully, Miss Ning, believe me, the impact is only temporary. That kid's style is similar to mine, but we've already taken over the market. He won't be able to snatch away many customers. That better be the case. Chapter 632. Early the next morning, the headlines of all the fashion newspapers were about the Golden Top Award winner. They highlighted Dai Wei's embarrassment and deliberately enlarged the scene where he thought he had won the award and was about to go on stage to receive the award. There were all kinds of twists and turns. The fashion news was even more exciting than the gossip in the entertainment industry. The new genius designer, the Golden Top Award winner, X, is actually a loli. David lost the Golden Top Award. Is he exhausted? The Golden Top Award winner is a dark horse, stunning decadent beauty. Who is behind Zailing Studio? Platinum Palace. It was the weekend and Lu Tingxiao was off. Ningxi had promised Xiaobao that she would take him to the amusement park, so Xiaobao got up early in the morning and was packing his things in his room. Lu Jingli was still in his pajamas, but he ran to his brother with the newspaper. Brother, quick look. Gong Shangza won the Golden Top Award. And he beat Dai Wei with a score of 10. Damn it, sister-in-law is too amazing. I just casually picked up a treasure. Lu Tingxiao drank his tea calmly. It seemed that he had known about it. But, what does the code name X mean? Is there any special meaning behind it? Gong. Shang. Z. There's no abbreviation that's X. Lu Jingli said and suddenly froze. Ningxi. Ji. E. Lu Jingli carefully glanced at his brother, whom he had just coaxed yesterday, and said in a relaxed tone. He named himself after the boss. I didn't know he was so sincere. As they were talking, Butler Yuan came in with Ningxi. As soon as he saw Ningxi, Lu Jingli looked at her strangely, and then covered his face. Little Cece, you're here. You're so dirty. Ningxi's face darkened. What's wrong with you? How am I dirty? Lu Jingli pointed at the 6 dresses in the newspaper. Isn't your design theme dirty enough? Ningxi said angrily. Are you blind? Rising from the ashes is obviously full of positive energy. Lu Jingli said with a meaningful expression. But I only thought of one sentence. What did you think of? Ningxi felt that she didn't hear anything good. As expected, Lu Jingli said with a straight face. Woman, you're playing with fire. Black lines covered Ningxi's forehead. She could not take it anymore and said. The one who is dirty is clearly you. The defiler sees the defilement. After that, he ignored him and ran to find Lu Tingxiao. Boss, where's Xiaobao? As soon as she finished speaking, Xiaobao, who heard Ningxi's voice, ran out like a gust of wind. Ningxi picked up the little guy. Are you ready? Xiaobao patted the little backpack on his back, indicating that he was ready. All right, let's go. Ningxi was going to fly abroad for publicity tomorrow. One of the publicity stations happened to be in Country X. She was going to take advantage of that time to go to Feiqing to meet YS. Before she left, she wanted to take Xiaobao to have a good time. There are a lot of people on the weekend. Be careful, Lu Tingxiao reminded. Ningxi picked up Xiaobao and blinked. Boss, aren't you coming with us? Lu Tingxiao was obviously stunned when he heard that. He looked up from the documents. You want me to go with you? Usually Ningxi would take Xiaobao everywhere, and he would not disturb them. After all, they might not have a good time if he was there. Therefore, he did not expect that Ningxi would ask him to go with them this time. Chapter 633. Ningxi nodded honestly. Yes. Then she said hesitantly, but there are too many people there, and it's childish. If you don't like it then, I like it. Lu Tingxiao put down the documents in his hand, stood up, and picked up the coat on the coat rack. Ningxi's eyes lit up. She was afraid that Lu Tingxiao would not go. She didn't expect that he would agree so easily. Xiaobao gradually accepted Lu Tingxiao. Knowing that his dad was going with him, he was very happy, and his big eyes were full of excitement. It was the first time that he went out with Papa and Aunt Xiaoxi. Looking at the family of 3, a certain Koi lay lifelessly on the sofa with a face full of resentment. They abandoned me again. Ningxi, who touched his head. Stay at home and watch the house. I'll bring you candied hawthorn. Humph. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old? I don't want candied hawthorn. Lu Jingli looked angry. I want cotton candy. The colorful kind that can be made into flowers. Ningxi. The 3 of them soon drove to the amusement park. Because there would be a grand fireworks show in the amusement park tonight, there were a lot of people. The scene was crowded and lively. Most of them were families or couples. Let me hold Xiaobao. Lu Tingxiao said. Ningxi was afraid that Xiaobao would be squeezed by others, so she gave Xiaobao to Lu Tingxiao. Okay. Lu Tingxiao held Xiaobao in one hand, and put his other hand around her shoulder to protect her. They walked steadily to a popular project in front of them, and no one bumped into them during the process. Lu Tingxiao liked peace and didn't like this kind of crowded place. However, he was not impatient at all. He accompanied Ningxi and Xiaobao to play all the projects in the amusement park the whole day. He also took a lot of pictures and set one of them as the desktop of his mobile phone. As the night fell, Lu Tingxiao carried Xiaobao's small school bag on his arm, and several zodiac masks and gadgets around his neck. He carried several bags of snacks in one hand, and a big colorful cotton candy for Lu Jingli in the other. He walked behind his wife and children, carrying things and paying for them. Come on, Lu Tingxiao, let's go to the stands. The fireworks show is about to begin. Ningxi excitedly held Xiaobao's hand and ran forward. After thinking for a moment, she turned back and held Lu Tingxiao's arm. Lu Tingxiao looked at the arm that was being held. For a moment he was in a trance, as if they were really a family of 3. Finally, the fireworks show began. A bright flame rose from the horizon, and then suddenly exploded in midair, accompanied by a bang, illuminating the entire sky. Not long after, the sound of fireworks rose and fell. In the sky full of fireworks, Ningxi turned her head and stared blankly at the bright side profile of the man beside her. Lu Tingxiao seemed to sense the girl's gaze and turned to look at her. Ningxi opened her mouth and suddenly said a few words to him. The sound of the fireworks was so loud that Lu Tingxiao couldn't hear what she was saying. He cast a suspicious look at her. Ningxi's eyes reflected the sparks in the sky. She leaned over and said it again. She said that sentence even though she knew he wouldn't hear it at this moment. Lu Tingxiao, I like you. Chapter 634. At night, after sending Ningxi and Xiaobao to Pearl River Imperial View, Lu Tingxiao didn't return to the villa immediately. Instead, he called Lu Jingli and asked him to go to a bar. Brother, you asked me to go to a bar? I thought I was hearing things. Under the dim light, Lu Tingxiao's face was hidden in the shadows. After a long silence, he suddenly said, Is there a possibility? What possibility? This somewhat inexplicable question made Lu Jingli confused. Ningxi fell in love with someone else. Lu Tingxiao said. Lu Jingli's eyes widened. Huh? Who did she fall in love with? Lu Tingxiao said, Me. Lu Jingli almost spat out the wine in his mouth. Ahem. Why do you think so? Lu Tingxiao said, a feeling. Lu Jingli scratched his head. Brother, did something happen today? Lu Tingxiao's brows seemed to be shrouded in a thick fog. I think she said she liked me. What? Cici said she liked you? Lu Jingli calmed down. No, why did you add seemed? At the amusement park, during the fireworks show, she seemed to say something to me, but it was too noisy and I didn't hear it. Lu Tingxiao frowned. Lu Jingli was excited. Oh my god. But you know lip reading. So you understood it? Lip reading is not 100% accurate, not to mention the environment was chaotic. Most importantly, it was indeed too impossible. The first time he didn't pay attention. The second time, she leaned closer and he didn't see it. It was just a hasty judgment. How could he be sure? So what made him most suspicious was not what she said, but the look in her eyes when she said it. The way she looked at him at that time was so touching. Silence was better than words. From those eyes he saw something he didn't even dare to think about. Brother, how about this? When little Cici comes back this time, you can test her. Lu Tingxiao agreed with Lu Jingli's suggestion. Okay. He really wanted to know the answer. On the second day after returning from the amusement park, Ningxi took a flight abroad early in the morning. After a few days of traveling, the crew finally went to the last stop of the publicity, the capital of Country X, Dib City. Because it was not a mainstream city, everyone was too tired after so many days, so not many people were willing to go. Among the actors who had more scenes, only Ningxi volunteered, which made Guqixing very moved. From the beginning to the end, she worked hard and cooperated with the publicity without deliberately stealing the limelight. Which director wouldn't like such an actress? He even planned to tailor a new movie for Ningxi next year. She had to be the female lead. Jiang Mai didn't know if he had found his conscience. After so many days of being wild, he only came a few times during the whole publicity period. This time he finally came. Jiang Mai slept until he got off the plane. He took off his blindfold and turned around, only to see Ningxi reading the script under the light. He was speechless. Ning Xiaoxi, are you on steroids? So desperate. Ningxi closed the script, glanced at Jiang Mai, and raised her eyebrows. If I don't work hard, how can I support Lu Tingxiao in the future? Jiang Mai, supporting Lu Tingxiao, wasn't this a little too ambitious? Chapter 635. Jiang Mai ignored the depression in his heart and murmured, Then my uncle will have to wait until the end of time? Bah, don't curse me. That's true. If you want to keep me as your sugar daddy, there's still a chance. Ningxi snorted. I like to challenge the impossible. Jiang Mai looked at the girl's expression and his heart ached. He knew that this time she was serious. He thought she had given up, but it turned out that he had underestimated her. From the humble retreat at the beginning, she was now determined to stand side by side with that man in the past. He had always wondered if this woman had no heart at all. Now he knew that she did have a heart, But she didn't give it to him. Jiang Mai put his hand on her shoulder and said in a relaxed tone, "Do you want to go for a drink after tonight? The best nightclubs in the world are in Dib City." Country X was a place that was very polarized. There was a city like Dib where people spent their money like water, and a ghost town like Philadelphia. "I was wondering why you came here." Ningxi looked at him with disdain. "No, I want to catch up on sleep." Tomorrow was the appointed time to meet, so she had to conserve her energy. The crew would leave in the afternoon tomorrow. She wanted to have a good rest tonight, and go to Philadelphia to meet that man first thing in the morning. Then she would come back. "Ning Xiaoxi, are you kidding me? You haven't even been with him yet, but you're already keeping yourself chaste for him. You don't even want to go to the nightclub." Ningxi shook her legs. "You have no one in your heart, so you won't understand." "Who said I don't?" "Oh, you do? Who? A jerk? Tut, to deal with a jerk like you have to be a jerk. This is called fighting fire with fire." After the promotion, the whole crew went out to have fun. Ningxi declined their invitation and fell asleep as soon as she returned to the hotel. At 5 o'clock in the morning, the alarm clock rang. Ningxi opened her eyes immediately. Carrying the backpack she packed last night, she walked out of the hotel and rushed to Philadelphia. When she arrived at the border of Philadelphia, she entered a breakfast shop to eat something, and then changed her clothes in the bathroom. When he came out of the bathroom, he was already dressed as a man. Previously, eldest senior brother had told her that the usual place to meet was one of their strongholds, an underground casino in the center of Philadelphia. She had stayed in Philadelphia for a whole year, and was very familiar with the place. Unfortunately, there were riots in this place every other day. In just a year, it had probably been rebuilt several times. She could no longer tell which was which. It took her a long time to recognize a few landmarks. Perhaps it was because the government had spent a lot of effort in recent years to rectify the situation. There were many police cars patrolling the streets, and no one was seen causing trouble in broad daylight. The situation was much better than before. At this time, Ningxi didn't know that she had been targeted the moment she stepped into the territory of Country X. "Boss, that woman is in Philadelphia." "Really?" On the leather sofa, the blonde man nervously touched the area below his long hair where his ears were. It was empty. Both of his ears had been shaved off. "It's true. Initially, I was having a headache because I couldn't make a move on Dib. I didn't expect the brothers I sent to keep an eye on her to see her come out of the hotel and come to Philadelphia on her own. She even deliberately changed into men's clothes. We almost didn't recognize her. However, it just happened to prove one thing." Chapter 636. As he spoke, he placed the two photos on the table. "Ningxi, Tangxi, these two are the same person. But why isn't she with Satan? Why did she change her identity and come to China? And why is she with Lu Tingxiao? Haha, interesting." Augustine rubbed his chin, looking intrigued. "Do you need me to investigate?" asked the subordinate. Augustine waved his hand impatiently. "No, the result doesn't matter. Anyway, today she's going to die here." The subordinate turned pale with fright. "Boss, you're going to. But she's Satan's woman. Last time for her, Satan even let Tangyi." "Shut up." Augustine felt a burning pain where his ear had been cut off. His heart was filled with humiliation. He yelled angrily, "How dare you question my orders?" "No, I don't dare. Capture her alive. I want them to see with their own eyes how I'll play this woman to death." The man's dark eyes were filled with bloodlust. If it weren't for this woman, his plan wouldn't have failed, and he wouldn't have been kicked out of the league, cut off his firearms, and forced into a dead end. Didn't they care about this woman? He would show them the price of treating him this way. The subordinate thought for a long time, but still felt uneasy. Suppressing his anger, he advised, "What if Satan finds out?" Augustine snorted. "That good-for-nothing is being chased by people in the Strait of Malacca, and he doesn't even dare to step out. Wait until he finds out. By the time he finds out, that woman's body will have been destroyed. Besides, the higher-ups will send someone to help us leave this damn place tomorrow. What are you afraid of? Don't you want to avenge Philo and Alice?" The subordinate gritted his teeth. "Fine. I'll bring more people with me. I'm afraid that woman won't be easy to deal with. Augustine pushed away the hot beauty in his arms. Wait, I'll go myself. After Ning she figured out the direction. She didn't go to the casino immediately. Instead, she made several turns and entered a hidden shop. Boss, a Glock 17. She couldn't bring the P226 that Lu Tingxiao gave her out of seclusion, so she had to buy a temporary one to protect herself. Otherwise, she wouldn't feel safe in this place. Inside the shop, a chubby boss was wiping bullets. He didn't even raise his head as he said, "This shop doesn't deal with strangers." Boss, are you sure I'm a stranger? Ningxi looked at him with a smile. The boss raised his head impatiently. When he saw the person lying on the counter, the fat on his face trembled, and the things in his hands fell to the ground. Then he crawled under the table with an agility that did not match his figure at all. You, didn't you leave? Why did you come back? After saying that, he looked behind her with trepidation, as if to see if there was anyone else. Ningxi followed his line of sight. Of course, she knew who he was looking at. This seemingly ordinary shop was the largest underground trading market in Philadelphia. There were many strange gadgets, not only weapons, but also antiques and medicines. In the past, she often came here with second brother to rob houses. The boss would get a headache whenever he saw the two of them. Whatever you want, take it yourself. Take it yourself. The boss anxiously urged. He just wanted to send them away as soon as possible. Ningxi walked over and picked one for herself. How much is it? No, I don't want money. Hurry up and leave. Ningxi was unhappy. How can I do that? I'm a decent person now. Chapter 637. The shopkeeper was about to cry. Little devil, what do you want? Ningxi looked innocent. I want to pay. The shopkeeper didn't dare to take her money. I don't want it. I really don't want it. Ningxi was a little angry. Damn it. I said I want to pay. Believe it or not, I'll beat you up. Wasn't this breaking her principles? After a long time, the shopkeeper finally gave her a price. Ningxi paid and left satisfied. The boss looked at the money on the table with trepidation. He had an expression as if he had seen a ghost. He actually paid up. After leaving the shop, Ningxi was lucky to see a taxi, so she waved at the driver to take her to her destination. She was resting with her eyes closed. Accompanied by a loud noise, the car suddenly shook violently, as if it had been hit by something. Residents who dared to live in Feiqing City were obviously capable. The driver reacted quickly. As soon as he felt something was wrong, he rolled out of the car and ran away. Ningxi cursed and pushed the door open to get out of the car. At first, she thought there was some kind of riot or robbery, but as soon as she got out of the car, she found something was wrong. 4 people got out of the car that had just hit her. They surrounded her in a fan shape, and 4 guns were pointed at her at the same time. They were menacing. Ningxi's heart skipped a beat. She subconsciously put her hand on the gun at her waist. What was going on? They were coming for her. These white people were obviously unfamiliar faces. She had just arrived here, so there was no reason for her to get into trouble. It was even more impossible for them to be her former enemies. If they had known her before, they wouldn't have dared to attack her in broad daylight. Put the gun down. The leader, a man in a black vest, looked at her with a malicious face, as if he had some deep hatred for her. Hurry up. The man seemed to know that she was good at shooting, so he was afraid of the gun at her waist. He fired a shot at her feet as a warning. The other 3 people stared at her without blinking, in case she suddenly fired. With a bang, a cloud of sand rose at Ningxi's feet. Those people were watching too closely. Ningxi knew that she had no chance to fight back in this situation. Helplessly, she gritted her teeth, pulled out the gun from her waist and threw it far away. The leader heaved a sigh of relief when he saw this. His face revealed a ferocious expression. Bitch, how dare you kill my brother? I will avenge them today. I killed your brother? Who is your brother? I say, did you make a mistake? Ningxi was confused. She talked to them on purpose while quickly looking around. The man scolded angrily. Cut the crap. Raise your hands and walk over slowly. At this time, Ningxi suddenly saw a pair of police cars passing by. She was overjoyed. Even if these people were arrogant, they would still have some scruples when they saw the police. Just as they were about to call for help, the squad of police cars came directly in their direction. The policeman in the captain's uniform put his arm around the man's shoulder like they were good friends. "What are you doing?" "It's nothing much, I'm just dealing with some personal matters. I'll have to trouble you to patrol the surroundings and prevent anyone from disturbing us. Otherwise, it would be bad if someone were to be accidentally injured. It's a small matter, no problem." Then, Ningxi watched the squad of police cars leave. Not only was she not saved, but her way out was also blocked. Oh no, it seemed that they had a powerful background. Chapter 638. The man in the lead finally lost his patience. He thought that she had no strength to fight back now, so he gave a look to his men next to him and asked them to catch her. However, just as that person took a step forward, 3 gunshots rang out. Bang bang bang. 3 of the 4 men were down in 1 second. The leader's expression changed dramatically when he saw his 3 men shot. On the opposite side, the gun in Ningxi's hand was still emitting white smoke. At this moment, it was pointed between his eyebrows. Didn't you throw your gun away?" The man was dumbfounded. He looked at the gun that Ningxi had thrown away, and it was still lying there quietly. Ningxi rolled her eyes and looked at him as if he was an idiot. "Who told you I only had 1 gun? She had bought 2 of them, all right." The man was furious. F***UCK. Cunning Asian. "You're too stupid." Ningxi sneered and then looked at him with a faint smile. She said quietly, "Guess which is faster, your spear or mine?" The man's hand trembled as he held the gun. Cold sweat rolled down his forehead. He wouldn't be afraid if the person in front of him was just an ordinary woman, but now he knew that she was Tangxi. Rumor had it that she was the best marksman by Satan's side. Taking advantage of the fact that the opponent was distracted under the huge psychological pressure, Ningxi decisively seized the opportunity and fired a shot. Unfortunately, the man reacted quickly and avoided the fatal spot. Only his arm was hit, and the gun fell to the ground. But it was enough for her to escape. Ningxi didn't want to stay any longer, and wanted to leave. Who knew that at this moment, a wave of messy footsteps suddenly came from the surroundings. The next second, she was surrounded by hundreds of people, all armed to the teeth. The man who was shot in the arm by Ningxi immediately relaxed and walked respectfully to a blond man. "Boss." The blond man, who seemed to be the leader, glanced at the 3 bodies on the ground and the man who was holding his arm. His face was expressionless. The man had fair skin, a high nose, green eyes, and shoulder-length blonde hair. The position of his ears looked a little strange. A gust of wind blew over, and Ningxi inadvertently saw that the person had no ears. Then, that person raised his head and looked at Ningxi, who was surrounded in the middle, revealing a gloomy expression. His drawn-out voice and twisted expression were strange no matter how one looked at it. "Run. Why don't you continue to run? Haha. What's the saying in your country again? Oh, that's right, there's a path to heaven but you don't want to take it. There's no door to hell, but you barge in." Looking at the dense crowd around her, Ningxi silently cursed. "Run my ass. Are you kidding me? Just to capture a little girl like her, they actually mobilized an armed force that could control the whole of Philadelphia? Do you think you're fighting a boss?" Although Philadelphia used to be their lair, their main force had long since moved to another city. It seemed that this place was already under the control of this blonde man. Right now, she was like a turtle in a jar with only death awaiting her. What the hell? What kind of enmity did she have with this person? Just as she was feeling suspicious, the blonde man slowly walked up to her. He looked at her from head to toe as if he wanted to strip her naked. "You're Satan's woman." Chapter 639. The moment Ningxi heard this, a single word popped up in her mind. "Shit." She knew it. She was just a small fry. How could he hate her so much? So this was the source. "No," Ningxi answered without hesitation. The man smiled coldly and pinched her chin with his cold fingers. "Huh, no? Because of you he cut off all ties with me. These 2 ears of mine are all thanks to his subordinate, Tang Yi. Ningxi's heart jumped. This man's ears were cut off by Elder Senior? After listening to the man's words, Ningxi's mind raced. She finally had an idea. She recalled the group of people she had killed when she was looking for Lu Tingxiao at the abandoned military factory in Philadelphia. Annie's text later revealed that these people used to be allies with the organization, but they broke off because of this incident. Ningxi's expression became even more solemn after she sorted out her thoughts. If that was the case, she was definitely going to die today. It was useless even if she denied her relationship with Satan. She had killed his subordinates and ruined his plans. He would never let her off the hook today. I'd like to have a taste of that guy's woman. The earless man's fingers rubbed her neck suggestively. Ningxi felt so disgusted that she had goosebumps. As he spoke, there was a flash of white light. The sharp dagger in the man's hand slid down Ningxi's collar. With one slash, Ningxi's leather jacket and shirt were cut open, revealing her fair skin. This kind of faintly discernible temptation was even more than directly taking off her clothes. The man's eyes immediately ignited a cluster of flames. Ningxi knew what the man wanted to do just by looking at his expression. She immediately felt nauseous. However, she was surrounded by a group of desperados. The only gun in her hand had been taken away. There was no way she could resist. She was going to die anyway. She might as well give it her all. While the man was looking at her wretchedly, Ningxi fiercely lifted her foot and hit the man's crotch. The next second there was a bang. A bullet shot into her thigh, and she felt a piercing pain. If she hadn't reacted in time and dodged a few centimeters, the bullet would have hit her artery. The man clutched the part of his body that had been hit. His face was gloomy. "You're courting death." In an instant, hundreds of guns were aimed at her. As long as the man gave the order, she would be shot into a hornet's nest. Ningxi's eyes were cold. That's right, she was courting death. The man seemed to see through her intentions and grabbed her hair. "Do you want to die? It's not that easy." Currently, he had control over the entire Philadelphia city. In this place he was the king. Not to mention the fact that Satan was in a desperate situation and could not even take care of himself. Even if he did come, he would die in Philadelphia city. No one would be able to save this woman from his hands. This man's gaze made Ningxi feel uncomfortable all over. There was a deeper meaning in his gaze, and that pair of turbid eyes made her feel disgusted. During this period of time, there were also many cars passing by. Several drivers saw the sea of people blocking the road and poked their heads out of the window. They thought that there was a traffic accident, but after looking carefully, their faces suddenly turned pale. They completely ignored Ningxi's pleading eyes and stepped on the accelerator, taking a detour and speeding away. After a few times, Ningxi finally gave up the last bit of hope in her heart. Chapter 640. Why? Who are you hoping to save you? The man looked at Ningxi from head to toe. His lips curled up and his expression was full of mockery. It was as if he was looking at his prey. "The entire Philadelphia is under our control. You'd better not have any expectations or hope. This hope will only increase your despair." The man stared at Ningxi and sneered. At this moment, Ningxi was expressionless. Since she couldn't beg for life, wouldn't it be easy to beg for death? Hundreds of black muzzles were pointed at Ningxi. As long as the man gave the order, Ningxi would be riddled with bullets and her body would be riddled with holes. However, the man was neither too fast nor too slow. It was like a game between a cat and a mouse. Ningxi was just his prey. When the cat was tired of playing with the mouse would be exhausted to death, and then the mouse would be swallowed. "Little girl, you can rest assured for the time being. I won't kill you so quickly. Later, after I'm tired of playing with your whole body, I'll slowly torture you to death. The game between us has just begun." The man grinned. From the beginning to the end, Ningxi didn't show a trace of fear. Instead, she was unusually calm. This made the man very unhappy. He wanted to see this woman kneeling at his feet and begging for mercy. Suddenly, Ningxi didn't know where she got the strength from. She broke free from the man's grip and used all her strength to push the man. Then, Ningxi limped forward without looking back. Ningxi was shot in the leg. Her speed was very slow. Blood dripped on the ground. She looked extremely pathetic. Bang! At this moment, a gunshot came from behind. The bullet hit the ground in front of Ningxi. Gravel flew everywhere, and there was a trace of gray smoke. Ningxi gritted her teeth. She didn't stop at all. It was as if she wasn't afraid of death. The man dragged the smoking muzzle with his right hand and said unhappily, "Who asked you to shoot so quickly? What's so fun about a dead mouse? I have plenty of time today." "Boss, I understand." The man who shot just now quickly put away his gun and nodded in fear. The man was not in a hurry as he watched the woman run away unsteadily. Instead, he was extremely patient as his eyes filled with interest. "Little girl, run faster. Only then will it be fun and make me even more excited. Ha 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 ha." The man's ear-piercing laughter echoed in the gloomy sky above the city. After a long time, Ningxi's right leg was a little numb from the pain, and she slowed down even more. Looking back, those people had disappeared from her sight. The night was as cool as water, the stars twinkled in the sky, and the moonlight penetrated the clouds, sprinkling its radiance on the earth. Ningxi's shot leg had been simply bandaged, and the bullet had been taken out. Although it was still painful, it was much better than before. At least, this leg would not be disabled. Thinking of this, Ningxi laughed at herself. Even now, she was still wondering if her leg would be crippled. He did not even know if he could leave Philadelphia alive. To be more precise, she already knew what would happen to her. It was just that she was unwilling to admit it. She had a bad feeling before coming here, but she didn't expect it to be 100 times worse than what she had expected. How was this a love affair? Clearly, it was a death affair. Only those who had no desires would not be afraid of death. But now she was afraid. She was very afraid that she would die. Chapter 641. She missed Xiaobao and Mr. Boss so much. Ningxi took a deep breath and slowly covered her body with her arms. The winter night in Feiqing was bone-chilling. Ningxi's figure looked lonely and helpless, but her expression was still determined. That man regarded himself as the master of Feiqing, and thought that nothing could escape from his hands. He regarded her as a mouse and himself as a cat, and even deliberately let her go. She knew that although she had temporarily escaped, she was actually treading on the line of death every minute. She couldn't stop. Ningxi endured the pain, fatigue, hunger and cold, and continued to walk forward. She had thought of calling the police, but it was obvious that the Feiqing police station had a close relationship with that man. If she acted rashly, she might walk right into the trap. No matter whether she was a real mouse or not, she had to hold on for a second. No one could be sure whether there would be a miracle in the next moment. The night was very cold. There were no pedestrians on the streets of Feiqing. Occasionally, there were cars passing by. She didn't know whether it was a coincidence or deliberate, but as long as Ningxi went to ask for help, the speed of those cars would instantly increase, drive past Ningxi, and disappear in the blink of an eye. Ningxi walked forward aimlessly. The next second, she suddenly saw a glimmer of light not far away. Like a person in the dark who saw light, Ningxi subconsciously walked towards the place where the light came from. After a while, Ningxi walked into a very wide street square. As soon as she entered the square, Ningxi was slightly stunned. It was that man and his men in the square. The man seemed to be a little surprised to see Ningxi, and then he laughed loudly. "Little girl, I wanted to let you feel more despair, but I didn't expect that you couldn't wait. I was just about to go out to find you, but you took the initiative to come to me." How could this man let Ningxi escape? He had arranged several heavily armed men to follow her in the dark. He wanted to find her later, but he didn't expect that Ningxi would come here. After the great sorrow and joy, Ningxi suddenly calmed down, and her face looked like the dust had settled. The earless man strode forward, grabbed Ningxi's long hair, and took her out of the square. At this moment, in the middle of the night, Philadelphia was dead silent. Other than this man and his subordinates, there was no one else. "Little girl, don't worry. I'm going to fuck you right here in front of my men. TSK, don't you think it's very exciting?" The man's gaze was like a poisonous snake covered with mucus, sizing up Ningxi. The surrounding men's subordinates all revealed ambiguous expressions and burst into laughter at the same time. Baby, I'll give you a chance. If you serve me well, maybe I can let you live. What do you think? The man licked his dry lips with his scarlet tongue and slowly approached Ningxi. Before Ningxi could say anything, suddenly, an ear-piercing roar of a motor came surging over like a tidal wave. The next second, a row of speeding black cars appeared in everyone's line of sight. Boss, he's not one of us. One of the men holding a gun looked at the man and said cautiously. The man nodded and didn't care too much. It was just a few cars and he didn't care. Chapter 642. Soon, a row of black cars stopped around the crowd. The doors opened, and dozens of men in black alighted from the cars. The leader of the group was a well-dressed middle-aged man. The man scanned the crowd before his gaze landed on Augustine. Mr. Augustine, I think you've caught someone you shouldn't have, and done something you shouldn't have. The middle-aged man said coldly after nodding at Augustine. Boss, it's Satan's men. A man in front of Augustine whispered in his ear, looking extremely nervous. Augustine didn't need anyone to remind him. This middle-aged man had been by Satan's side before, so he had some impression of him. He seemed to be a military advisor who specialized in negotiations. Oh, I remember you. Your name is Feng Jin. Augustine looked at the middle-aged man, then sneered after looking away. Mr. Augustine, you're right. The middle-aged man was expressionless. Ha ha ha, interesting. What's the matter? Satan doesn't dare to come to Philadelphia, so he sent a dog to chat with me? Augustine said with great interest, tearing at Ningxi's hair provocatively. Mr. Augustine, I think you're mistaken. I'm not here to chat with you. I'm only here to advise you. If you let Tangxi go now, everything will be negotiable. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable, Feng Jin said. Augustine laughed heartily when he heard Feng Jin's words. The entire Philadelphia city was his domain. He could even mobilize the police force in Philadelphia city. Even if Satan were to come personally, he would still die in Philadelphia city, let alone Satan's dog. In the blink of an eye, Augustine's expression was incomparably gloomy. You don't have the right to talk nonsense with me here. However, since you're here, I'll do my best as a good host. You shall stay here forever. As soon as Augustine finished speaking, hundreds of black holes pointed their muzzles at Feng Jin. At this moment, Feng Jin's expression remained calm and fearless, as he slowly opened his mouth and said, Since Mr. Augustine refused to listen to my advice, then my previous words were in vain. Since that's the case, I hope that Mr. Augustine will bear all the consequences. As soon as he finished speaking, the middle-aged man retreated, ignoring the black holes of the muzzles. In the next second, dozens of black cars appeared from all directions, blocking the street. Augustine's expression changed, and he furrowed his brows. However, in the blink of an eye, Augustine calmed himself down and laughed coldly. What? Is this all Satan can do? You want to go against me and the entire Philadelphia with just a few people? Augustine dialed a number and said, Do you want to do it? In an instant, of police sirens. Late at night, in the dead silence of Philadelphia, police sirens could be heard. There were more than twice as many cars as Feng Jin's. Ha ha ha, you guys are fat sheep. The Philadelphia Police Department is very interested in you guys. I've said it before. Even if Satan were here, he'd die here. Augustine laughed maniacally when he saw nearly 100 fully armed police officers surrounding Feng Jin and his men. His face was ferocious. Chapter 643. A hint of madness appeared on Augustine's face. He had said earlier that he was the king of Philadelphia City. Even if Satan were to appear in person, he would die in Philadelphia City, much less Satan's lackeys. Feng Jin looked at the police cars surrounding them. The doors of the police cars were open, and the police guns were pointed at them through the windows. Most of the police officers were holding riot shields in their hands, blocking off all escape routes. They intended to capture Feng Jin and his lackeys in one fell swoop. Ha ha ha, these are Satan's men. They won't surrender. Why don't we shoot them all? Augustine signaled the muscular man behind him with his eyes. The muscular man understood. He looked at Feng Jin, who was in the crowd, and pulled the trigger. Bang! Suddenly, a loud bang reverberated throughout the area. However, what shocked everyone was that Feng Jin, who should have been hit by the bullet, was unscathed. On the other hand, the muscular man behind Augustine who had fired the gun had a bloody hole in between his eyebrows. Fresh blood flowed out. The muscular man's stiff body fell to the ground with a loud thud. A sniper? Augustine and the police commissioner's expressions changed slightly. There's a sniper. Augustine's expression darkened. It was impossible to defend against a sniper. He did not expect Feng Jin to have arranged for a sniper to hide in the dark. No wonder he was so fearless. The police commissioner opened his mouth, as if he wanted to say something. However, at that moment, a thunderous explosion rang out from behind them. It was so loud that it hurt their eardrums. What's going on? A few police cars were knocked to the ground. Augustine and the others looked behind them, and saw that it was an armored military vehicle. An armored military vehicle? The expression of the police chief, standing in front of Augustine, suddenly changed. There were several machine guns mounted on the armored vehicle, and in the back of the vehicle were armed with light and heavy weapons. At first glance, it looked like a regular army. Fuck, it must be Satan. Destroy that armored vehicle. Augustine roared angrily. He was certain that Satan was in the heavily armed car. Rumble. Rumble. Boom. As Augustine's voice fell, a series of rumbling sounds rang out. Under the astonished and horrified gazes of the crowd, one military armored vehicle after another slowly drove over. In less than a minute, the military armored vehicles seemed to have piled up into a mountain. On top of each military armored vehicle, there were two fully armed men holding terrifying heavy machine guns. Mr. Augustine, as I said just now, you will bear all the consequences yourself. Feng Jin said politely as he looked at Augustine. You're courting death. Augustine was furious. After saying that, one of the men behind him shot at Feng Jin under Augustine's signal. However, before he could pull the trigger, the man behind Augustine had already been killed by the sniper hiding in the shadows. Mr. Augustine, I understand your indignation and anger, but forgive me for being blunt. You're essentially no different from an ant. You can't kill anyone here. Feng Jin's eyes flashed with disdain. I'll fight it out with them. Don't be afraid. With this bitch in my hands, even Satan will have to submit to me. Augustine said viciously, but he was not confident. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Suddenly, the ear-piercing sound of a lawnmower reverberated in the air above them. Augustine and the police chief subconsciously looked up into the void, and couldn't help but suck in a cold breath. Chapter 644. A few helicopters circled above their heads. A moment later, Tang Yi, dressed in a black suit, descended from above. Damn it, Tang Yi! Augustine cursed. He did not expect Tang Yi to show up in person. However, before Augustine could finish cursing, the person following closely behind Tang Yi was Feng Xiaoxiao. Not only Augustine, but the police chief was also trembling. He knew from the start that Satan was not to be trifled with. As expected, tonight's events confirmed his suspicions. Armored vehicles and helicopters were like a well-organized army. What kind of force was this? Tang Yi and Feng Xiaoxiao were also people who would turn pale at the mere mention of their names. And now, all of them had appeared at the same time. Who was this person that Augustine had captured? Soon, the armored vehicles parted to the sides, and an ordinary-looking silver sedan drove over. The sedan looked shabby and looked like an old car. There was a lot of dust on its body, making it look dirty. It looked out of place in such a lineup. Under everyone's gaze, Tang Yi walked up to the silver sedan and opened the door himself. Feng Jin, Feng Xiaoxiao, and the others waited respectfully beside the car. Just as everyone was confused, a man slowly walked out of the shabby little car in the next second. The man's silver hair fluttered lightly in the night sky as if it had a life of its own. His slightly long fringe covered half of his eyes, while his light brown eye seemed to be submerged in a deep pool, emitting wisps of cold air. Ningxi stared unsteadily at the silver-haired man not far away. She was in a trance, almost thinking that she was hallucinating. It's actually How is this possible? Is Satan? Augustine looked like he had seen a ghost the moment he saw the man. Very few people had seen Satan in person, but they all knew of his signature silver hair. Crazy, crazy. They're all crazy. Just for a woman. He dared to leave the Straits and come to Philadelphia under such circumstances. He even mobilized so many people and caused such a commotion. Even if he was known as the king of the night, he was too arrogant. He had a death wish. Satan, what? What are you trying to do? Don't forget who I work for. Augustine looked as if he had seen the devil, Satan. His entire face was filled with fear. As the man walked towards him step by step, cold sweat rolled down his forehead like a waterfall. Shoot. Fire. Shoot him to death. Augustine roared madly under his opponent. However, faced with the dense crowd, the silver-haired man seemed to have entered an uninhabited land. His languid eyes were empty, and there was nothing in them. He did not place anything in his eyes. As for Augustine's side, the moment the silver-haired man appeared, everyone's morale had already dropped. Although they had guns in their hands, these guns were useless against them. Not to mention shooting, they didn't even dare to take a second look at the silver-haired man for a moment. The atmosphere at the scene was tense. They had no doubt that in the next second, this man would make Augustine's corpse disappear without a trace. However, to everyone's surprise, the silver-haired man acted as if he did not see Augustine at all. He walked past him expressionlessly and went straight to the girl behind him. He stood still for a moment, then slowly rested his chin on the girl's shoulder. With one arm around her waist, he said coquettishly, "Darling, did you miss me?" Chapter 645. Augustine. Tang Yi. Feng Xiaoxiao. Feng Jin. Everyone at the scene, who was originally tense and ready to fight, was speechless. Brother, this is a war zone. Can't you look at the situation when you're talking about love? Ningxi only felt a tall shadow fall in front of her, and then she heard an extremely familiar voice. She could even see a strand of silver hair gently swaying in the night wind from the corner of her eyes. However, Ningxi didn't fall into a daze for long, because this guy was like a large dog that suddenly pulled his entire body weight towards her. Ningxi felt a heart-wrenching pain as her thigh was pulled. Her muddled brain immediately cleared up and she gritted her teeth and said word by word, "I miss your grandpa." The man raised his eyebrows and said in a low voice, "HM? Darling, didn't you say 2 more words? Shouldn't she be thinking of him? Why the grandpa? Say 1 more word. Baby, you're so smart. You just said 1 more word." Ningxi didn't have time to teach him the profoundness of Chinese. She couldn't take it anymore and said, "Get up. I've been shot in the leg." Hearing this, the man finally straightened up slightly and glanced coldly at the wound on her thigh. He said in a low voice, "You're so useless." Ningxi's body was already at its limit. Now that she was angered by this guy, her body swayed and she almost fainted. The man caught the girl's soft body with one arm and carried her up. He looked at Tang Yi with his light brown eyes. "Have fun with them." Seeing that the man was about to carry Ningxi towards the car, Feng Xiaoxiao rubbed her nose and reminded him, Little junior sister is injured and this car is too old. Let's take the helicopter." "She's not that weak," the man said as he stuffed her into the car. Behind him, Feng Xiaoxiao's mouth twitched. "TSK, this EQ serves little junior sister right for running away with someone else." Hearing this, Tang Yi turned to look at Feng Xiaoxiao. Feng Xiaoxiao felt goosebumps under his gaze. "What? Did I say something wrong?" "Tang Yi. Yes, you're right." Feng Xiaoxiao. Feng Xiaoxiao looked at Augustine and the others. "What do we do with these people now? What do you mean by playing around? Do you want to play him to death?" Feng Jin's expression was a little solemn. "He's from that side after all. It'll be hard to explain if he dies. Spare his life." Tang Yi nodded in agreement. Moreover, the commotion today was too big. If the government of country X were to be alerted, the consequences would be unimaginable. He had to end this quickly. Inside the broken silver car, Ningxi weakly leaned against the seat, feeling that she might faint at any time, but she didn't dare, and could only use the last bit of strength to force herself to stay awake. Beside her, the man was speaking to the person on the walkie-talkie in English. In a daze, Ningxi vaguely heard a few words and suddenly woke up. You want to transfer all of them? She seemed to have heard this guy say that more than half of the organization's secret strongholds had been exposed, and now they were going to retreat to country Y. The man hung up the walkie-talkie and stared at her with a cold gaze. Then, he stretched out his slender fingers and gently pulled off the crooked wig that was about to fall off her head. He said softly, "Darling, it's not you, it's us." Chapter 646. The moment the wig was taken off, Ningxi's long black hair cascaded down like a waterfall. Her palm-sized pale face made her look breathtakingly beautiful. Ningxi's expression changed immediately. Panic flashed across her eyes. She felt as if she had fallen into a trap. It's none of my business. I'm not leaving. I'm here to make it clear to you that we're even. From now on, you can go your own way and I'll go my own way. Please don't interfere in my private affairs. The man propped his head on his hand and looked at her with a faint smile. Hi, even? Honey, you're mine. How are you going to be even with me? Ningxi was furious. Bullshit. I'm not yours. Oh. If not mine, then whose is it? Lu Tingxiao. The man's aura suddenly became heavy. I'm no one's. I'm my own, can't I? The man was obviously not convinced by her words. His fingers twirled around her hair as he said dangerously, Darling, I can let you go out to play, but that doesn't include making me a cuckold. So now I'm taking back your freedom. Screw you. We're not a couple. Do you even know what love is? I don't know. Will you teach me? Teach your sister. I don't have a sister. Ningxi simply shut her mouth to save her energy. She tilted her head and leaned against the window. Looking at the dark night sky, a trace of despair flashed across her glassy eyes. If she left with him now, it was very likely that she would never be able to return. In a hotel in Dib City. Last night, the crew had partied the whole night and slept until noon. When they were having lunch at noon, they suddenly found that one person was missing. Why isn't Ningxi here? Has she eaten? I don't know. Let's call her and ask. Jiang Mai took out his cell phone and dialed Ningxi's number, but the call didn't go through. He frowned and said, her phone is turned off. Didn't she go to the bar with us last night? Is she still sleeping? Yi Linglong, the scriptwriter, asked. Jiang Mai stood up. I'll go up and have a look. Jiang Mai went upstairs and walked to Ningxi's room. He rang the doorbell for a long time, but there was no response. What's going on? If he's not going with us, could it be that he's going to have fun by himself? That's too disloyal. Jiang Mai was annoyed, but he didn't care anymore, and went down to eat. After lunch, the flight back home was getting closer and closer, but Ningxi was still nowhere to be seen. Jiang Mai, who was still sulking, couldn't help but feel that something was wrong. Although Ningxi was quite crazy when she played, she would never delay the important matters. How could he not be back after playing for so long? What? Still can't get in touch with Ningxi? Guo Qixing walked over and asked. Yeah. Jiang Mai looked at his phone absent-mindedly. Guo Qixing looked at the time on his watch. It'll be too late if we don't go to the airport now. Jiang Mai had no intention of leaving. You guys go back first. I'll wait for her here. Guo Qixing frowned. I'll wait too. Let the others go first. After all, he was the leader of the team and he had to be responsible for the members of the crew. So the rest of the crew went back home first, while Guo Qixing and Jiang Mai stayed to wait for Ningxi. Chapter 647. During this period, Guo Qixing and Jiang Mai made several calls, but Ningxi's cell phone was still turned off. They finally became anxious and began to ask the receptionist if they had seen Ningxi. After learning that no one had noticed her, they asked to check the surveillance video. The process of retrieving the surveillance video in the hotel was a bit complicated. When they saw the video, it was already nighttime. The surveillance video showed that Ningxi did sleep as soon as she arrived at the hotel last night. She didn't go out at all until the next morning. And she hadn't come back since she went out in the morning. What happened? Where did she go? She hasn't come back yet. Jiang Mai frowned. She didn't look like she went out to play according to her clothes in the surveillance video. Besides, it was still early in the morning when she went out. Guo Qixing paced back and forth, looking worried. The security in some places of Country X is not very good. Although Dib City is good, the surrounding places are not. Did Ningxi leave Dib City? Didn't she tell you yesterday where she would go today? Jiang Mai shook his head. Nothing. She didn't even go to the bar. She said she would come back to sleep. The two began to look for her at noon. However, there was still no news from Ningxi until late at night. At the same time, in a commercial cocktail party in the capital, Lu Tingxiao, dressed in a black suit, stood in front of the large floor-to-ceiling window, looking a bit absent-minded. Behind him, Mo Lingtian walked over and put a hand on his shoulder, as if he couldn't stand it anymore. Hey, what are you thinking about? Why are you always absent-minded recently? You don't drink at the cocktail party, but now you don't even bring your soul with you? As soon as he finished speaking, Mo Lingtian noticed that the screen of Lu Tingxiao's cell phone was still on. The next second, he looked as if he was about to go blind. Shit. Hot. What the hell is this? Lu Tingxiao, have you taken the wrong medicine? Lu Tingxiao glanced at his friend next to him with a cold face. It seemed that his friend's words had insulted the screen of his cell phone. On Lu Tingxiao's phone there was a picture of Ningxi, Xiaobao, and him, a family of 3. In the photo, the 3 of them made a cute gesture with their hands against their cheeks. Xiaobao was silly and cute, Ningxi was smiling very brightly, and Lu Tingxiao was expressionless, but his eyes were full of tenderness and doting. There were a lot of messy stickers on their faces, and each of them had a pair of pink cat ears on their heads. If there were only Xiaobao and Ningxi, this picture would be quite cute, but with the expressionless Lu Tingxiao, the whole picture looked extremely weird. Therefore, it was no wonder that Mo Lingtian's eyes were hurting. What the fuck? How could they film such a thing? I really have to give it to you. If I didn't know better, I would have thought that you were possessed. Lu Tingxiao completely ignored his friend's complaints. He clicked on Ningxi's WeChat and sent her a message. Have you got off the plane? If she wasn't late, Ningxi's flight should arrive at the airport at this time. Because of a social engagement, he couldn't pick her up in person. After Lu Tingxiao sent the message, there was no response from the other end of the phone. After a while, his cell phone suddenly rang. He thought it was Ningxi, but the caller ID showed that it was Jiang Mai. Chapter 648. Hello, Uncle. Jiang Mai sounded very excited. What's the matter? A man's deep voice came from the other end of the phone. It was noisy on the other end. It seemed that they were at a business party. Jiang Mai didn't dare to keep it a secret anymore. After all, he was not familiar with the people and places abroad. If Lu Tingxiao could help him, it would be much more convenient with his connections. So he directly said, Uncle, Ningxi is missing. She has been missing for a whole day. I called the police, but the police only found that she went into Feiqing. I don't know what happened in Feiqing. All the surveillance cameras are malfunctioning, and we can't find any information. I was going to go there, but I was told that the city was under martial law. I'm worried about Ningxi. In the luxurious banquet hall, under the shining crystal lights, the man in a black suit, holding a phone in his hand. His whole body seemed to be wrapped in ice. The night sky outside the huge floor-to-ceiling windows showed that his face was covered with frost. What did you say? Feiqing, didn't Ningxi go to Dib to promote the film? Why did she go to Feiqing? Mo Lingtian shivered and rubbed his arms. Lu Tingxiao, what's wrong with you? Why do you look so pale? I want to know the identity of that person before tomorrow. After saying this, Lu Tingxiao's frosty figure left the banquet hall without a backward glance. Fuck. Tomorrow. I can't find enough time for you even if I have to risk my life. Mo Lingtian cursed behind him. But judging from Lu Tingxiao's attitude, it seemed that something big had happened. Mo Lingtian didn't dare to delay any longer, and immediately went back to work. 10 minutes later, in the night sky, on a helicopter, Lu Tingxiao had a black laptop on his lap, and he looked like a storm was brewing. Sure enough, the entire network in Feiqing was paralyzed, as if someone was trying to cover something up. After more than half an hour, he finally found some intermittent scenes. Although it was just a few short scenes, it was enough to scare him out of his wits. He saw that Ningxi was surrounded and chased by a group of people. In the last second, Ningxi was shot. Lu Tingxiao's voice even began to tremble. Go to Feiqing. When Cheng Feng saw the surveillance footage on the computer, his face was filled with horror. When he heard Lu Tingxiao's words, he suddenly came to his senses and said anxiously, "Boss, the entire Philadelphia is in chaos now. It's too dangerous to go there now." Just as he finished speaking, Lu Tingxiao gave him an extremely frightening look. Cheng Feng could only shut his mouth. Oh no. Please don't let anything happen to Lady Boss. Otherwise, Lu Tingxiao had no idea how he had survived the last few seconds. It was as if he had walked through hell. He closed his eyes for a moment, and when he opened them again 3 seconds later, they were as deep as a bottomless abyss, without the slightest ripple. He took out his phone and dialed a number. "Minister Naka, sorry to disturb you so late at night." "Ah, Mr. Lu, my honorable guest, calling so late at night. Is there something urgent?" The tone on the other end of the phone was quite friendly. "I do have a favor to ask." "Mr. Lu, feel free to speak your mind." "I want to borrow an army from the minister." "What? This. He didn't expect Lu Tingxiao to make such a scary request as soon as he opened his mouth. The other party was immediately scared out of his sleep. "Mr. Lu, what happened?" "I need to go to Feiqing." "Sir, you must not. Feiqing is controlled by a group of Italian mafia during this period of time. Even if there is something urgent, please wait for the situation to stabilize. My wife is in those people's hands." Chapter 649. My wife is in those people's hands. Hearing Lu Tingxiao's words, the minister on the other end of the phone was shocked. What? These people are simply audacious. Lu Tingxiao was one of the important investors of Country X. He was inextricably linked to the government of Country X. Now his wife was actually kidnapped in Country X. If something happened, then the consequences. However, the situation in Philadelphia was complicated. A slight change in one part could affect the whole situation. Most importantly, there was only half a year left before the change of office. He just wanted to be an official for half a year, and did not want to fight for any achievements. Who knew that such a thing would happen? Lu Tingxiao naturally had his concerns tomorrow. "Minister, don't worry, I will try my best to solve the problem peacefully." "Try your best. That means you can't rule out the possibility of solving it by force?" The minister broke out in a cold sweat. However, this person had to be saved. At the border of Country X, the night was illuminated, and a loud rumbling sound rang out. Above the void, a helicopter slowly descended. The cabin door opened, and Lu Tingxiao, dressed in a black suit, walked out of the helicopter, followed by Cheng Feng. Because the incident happened suddenly, he got on the plane as soon as he received the call, without anyone by his side. In this remote place, a white-haired old man had been waiting for a long time. Seeing Lu Tingxiao appear, the old man shook hands with Lu Tingxiao with a smile and said, "Mr. Lu, I didn't expect such a thing to happen. Please allow me to apologize first." Lu Tingxiao was quite polite. "Minister Naka, I'm very sorry to disturb you so late at night." If it was a normal day, he would never easily trouble this minister, because it was not a good thing to be too involved with the government. But now, Ningxi's life and death were unknown, and the matter was urgent, so he couldn't care too much. Minister Naka sighed. "Recently, Philadelphia has been controlled by the Italian mafia. Although our ministry has the intention to suppress it, the current situation in Country X is also relatively tense, so we haven't had time to deal with it yet. I never thought that Mr. Lu's wife would suddenly appear in Philadelphia, and even this kind of thing happened." Lu Tingxiao was a Chinese business giant who controlled the economic lifeline. At the same time, he was also an important investor in Country X. He had a great relationship with the government, and the government of Country X also valued Lu Tingxiao very much. This was not only in Country X. It was said that Lu Tingxiao had a large number of investments in several countries, and his strength was extremely strong. He was not a simple businessman. Otherwise, as a dignified department head, he wouldn't have to be so nervous and come to pick them up in the middle of the night. If something happened to Lu Tingxiao's beloved wife in Philadelphia, he wouldn't be able to keep his face. If this incident caused Lu Tingxiao to resent Country X and withdraw his investment, or even cause other disputes, this matter was indeed difficult to handle. Cheng Feng quietly followed behind Lu Tingxiao. His hands did not stop as he continued to search for Ningxi's tracks. Although Country X was a relatively barren small country, it could not be compared with a medium-sized country, and it could not be compared with a large country, but it also had a sizable regular army. Especially the recent outbreak of war between Country X and some other small countries, many powerful merchants from various countries also saw the strength of Country X. However, although the strength of the X team was not small, the economic aspect was a headache, especially after the outbreak of the war. They needed money to support it. The economic construction of Country X was insufficient, so they especially valued business giants like Lu Tingxiao. Chapter 650. Minister Naka, there's no need to be polite. Right now, my wife's life and death in Philadelphia are unknown. I need to borrow a regular army. Lu Tingxiao's expression seemed calm, but if one observed carefully, they would discover a terrifying undercurrent at the bottom of his eyes. Mr. Lu, I think you also know that the war in Country X is currently tense. If it's a regular army. Minister Naka looked hesitant to speak. What Minister Naka means is. Lu Tingxiao looked at the old man in front of him meaningfully. It's like this, Mr. Lu. Country X currently has some more important investment projects, and these projects are linked to the military. If Mr. Lu is willing to invest, I think it won't be a problem to immediately mobilize a regular army for Mr. Lu. I just wonder how Lucien's business is? Minister Naka secretly sized up Lu Tingxiao's attitude. Cheng Feng frowned slightly. Minister Naka was obviously taking advantage of the situation. Lu Tingxiao looked at Minister Naka and said in a cold tone, Minister Naka, I'm not in the mood to talk business with you right now. Then, this is not easy to do. It may take some time to mobilize the regular army. Minister Naka said again, deliberately putting on a difficult expression. All right. Lu Tingxiao nodded. Hearing Lu Tingxiao's words, Minister Naka was delighted. However, Lu Tingxiao's next words caused Minister Naka's expression to change. Since that's the case, then withdraw all my previous investments in Country X. After that, I might go to Country X to look for projects to invest in. After Lu Tingxiao finished speaking, he did not even look at Minister Naka. He brought Cheng Feng and turned around to walk towards the helicopter. Sir, please wait. Immediately, Minister Naka quickly chased after Lu Tingxiao and anxiously stopped him. Originally, he thought that Lu Tingxiao would agree to further investment in his heart. However, he did not expect that Lu Tingxiao would not buy his account at all. If Lu Tingxiao really withdrew his investment in Country X, he was afraid that the higher-ups would blame him, and he would not be able to get any benefits. Mr. Lu, what I said before is just a matter of the future. Our top priority is to get Mr. Lu's wife out of Philadelphia. Isn't that so? Minister Naka hurriedly said after stopping Lu Tingxiao. What about the regular army? Lu Tingxiao looked at Minister Naka with an ice-cold gaze. Then let's do this. How about we assign a team of 300 people to Mr. Lu? Minister Naka seemed to be asking for Lu Tingxiao's opinion. 300. Lu Tingxiao narrowed his eyes. He had no idea what the current situation in Philadelphia was. It was a place where crooks and honest people mixed together. Putting aside the Italian mafia, it was still unknown whether there were other forces. Only 300 people was not enough. If 300 people could solve the problem, why would he go through so much trouble? He could have just brought his own men. Why would he look for him, the minister? Then 400 people? Seeing Lu Tingxiao's expression, Minister Naka asked again. However, Lu Tingxiao continued to stare at him without saying a word. Naka was a little anxious. He rubbed his hands and said, Mr. Lu, what do you think? 20 tanks and 5 fighter jets. Apart from the pilots of the fighter jets and tanks, another 500 people equipped with light and heavy weapons, Lu Tingxiao said calmly. The moment Lu Tingxiao finished speaking, Minister Naka's face was sluggish and he almost cursed. 20 battle tanks, 5 fighter jets, and 500 people equipped with light and heavy weapons. This Lu Tingxiao's tone was really too big. Why didn't he go and rob? The nearest military stronghold didn't have 20 battle tanks and 5 fighter jets. Even if they did, they couldn't be sent out casually. No. Absolutely not. This is definitely not possible. Minister Naka seemed a little excited and said no. Since it's not possible, then I have nothing to say. Goodbye. Lu Tingxiao shook his head. Mr. Lu. Minister Naka said. Mr. Lu, your request is too much. The nearest military stronghold only has 5 tanks and 2 fighter jets. Even if we want to mobilize, we can only mobilize these. Deal. Lu Tingxiao nodded. What? Minister Naka still had some reaction. He seemed to have fallen into Lu Tingxiao's trap. The dignified Minister Naka of Country X had been in politics for half his life. And in the end, he was set up by a businessman. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.